Hi, everybody. Welcome to Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez. I'm your host, Emmy Hernandez. No matter your age, it's never too late or too early to start thinking about making your money work for you. But where to start? That's why I'm here. I'm excited to lay out some key steps to help you save, grow, and invest your money in the smartest way possible. Millennials and money. Boys, a lot of challenges. We are going to help them out today, right here on Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez. Since we are talking about millennials and their money today, I have Ashley Pavlenko with me, who is a millennial. We're going to explore the challenges and how to solve that problem together. Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you
Hey,
for having me.
you're welcome. You are among one of the millennials, so
Yes.
I really don't know much about your generation. I feel old now, but tell me who you are and why are you the millennial?
Okay. Well, millennials or Generation Y, we're a generation born between the years of 1981 to 1997. So it's a pretty wide age gap there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are, I mean, that generation, I think it's excellent. You grew up with technology, right? So
Yes.
you are very quick learner. You're good with computers and everything. I know because, a lot of my assistants that younger have to help me with a lot of stuff. But when we talk about finances,
Right.
seem like there's different type of challenges that you have to face. So with your experience, or maybe people tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now and how your financial status situation come into play.
Okay. Well, I'm a student currently. I'm a senior at Cal State Fullerton, so kind of dealing with having student loans and all of that right now. And I also work as a bartender, so I'm lucky in that respect because I'm able to make tips, so that kind of
Uh-huh.
is able to fund me in a different way on top of, my regular pay that I get there. But yeah, as far as financial things go, student debt, and I have a car payment. There's a lot
Wow.
of money just going out, and I feel like I need to be bringing more in. So,
Uh-huh.
but it's yeah, being a millennial, it's really difficult to kind of go about that challenge when we're trying to get out in the workforce, but we're being told we need more experience, we need all of these things. So it's a difficult time.
So you're quite independent. It's like so you're on your own, you're not actually with your parents. It's understandable, when you're talking about having a lot of expenses right now and have to pay out. What's your plan? I mean, what do you feel like when you talk about job, getting out there? What field are you in?
I'm majoring in film and television.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you're doing intern and
Yes.
and when you apply for job, what are the things that you run into that you feel that make you like obstacle or?
Mostly experience. A lot of places that I've been looking at, as far as applying to after I graduate, they want, a couple years worth of experience within the business, within the industry already, which I obviously don't have as I'm only going to be graduating soon. So it's a little difficult, little trying to, feel positive about going out there looking for a job when I'm going to be graduating when it kind of feels like there's already these walls and barriers kind of in the way of all of that.
How competitive is the job market today with?
I'd say pretty competitive, especially in film and television, because there's so much new media being created and there's so many new people, not even going to school, just people on their own that are putting content out there on YouTube on so many different
Oh, wow.
channels.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say it's a pretty competitive area to go into right now. Weird.
Right. So when you talk about that, is it with need more experience? How do you feel about people who want to continue the educations instead of go out and work right away, but you maybe study more to
Right.
gain more, maybe a credential degree or something like that? Is that an alternative way to do it?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's something I've thought about too, because I'm pursuing my bachelor's, and I've had many people ask me if I've thought about, maybe going for a master's instead and doing extra school, and I would love to do that, but what comes along with that is more school, more years, and more student debt, and more loans. So there's that sort of struggle too. So it's, do I get out and try and find a job and start working to pay off the student debt, or do I try to move up a little bit more and accumulate more student debt?
Yeah, that's a tough thing to say because of course the student loan is something that can build on, right? So with the student loan, expand a little bit. How do you usually qualify for student loan?
Okay, so before the semester starts at school, I actually apply for a grant as well. So I usually get a grant, but then I have two different student loans, and I know one is subsidized and one is unsubsidized, but I have no idea what that means.
Oh
So,
boy.
yeah. So it's yeah, I'd like to learn a little bit more about that.
Uh-huh. Does it come with the different terms, like, different interest rate?
Yes, but I don't know much about that either. So.
Oh, wow. You gotta have to go back
I'm
and
in a
get
little
the
trouble.
contract. You in trouble now. So what about the grant? The grant is actually free money, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
is that the qualification is difficult, different than the or the limits? That why everybody kind of like more have a student loan?
Yeah, more so, because there's different stipulations and limitations for for grants. You have to fall under like certain categories, so that's why a lot of people aren't eligible for those. Luckily, I am in my situation, but yeah, most people have to go straight for the loans. They don't get the luxury of grants and things like that.
Okay, that's very interesting too, because in my area, and we're going to talk about how to help you with manage your finance a little bit. But I work with a lot of clients who are trying to set up type of college education fund for the grandchildren to help out, stuff like that. But they always ask, like, you know what, if I have this fund for them, would that affect or impact how they qualify for the grant or financial aids or the loan? So can you tell us a little bit about when you apply, does your what type of asset that get into your application form?
Okay, so they usually ask just solely for my income. So it's based on my income alone. So they ask for that information, and I supply my tax information as well. So they go over that for the past couple of years that I've been working, so about 4 years now. So all of that goes into account when they, process everything and give me the amount of money that I'll be eligible for, or the amount of money that I'll need as far as loans go.
See.
But that's about as much of the process as I know.
Okay.
I don't know,
Okay.
behind the scenes stuff, or how they kind of see that amount and decide how much they're going to give me based off of that.
That's interesting. That's why for the financial, that's for probably the student loan part. Maybe they kind of get into, I think they in more to detail when you get the grant or the financial aids. They sometimes looking at a parent's income and asset as well, right? But in your case for student loan, that really doesn't come into play.
Right.
Okay, great. Now, with this loan that you have, I'm not going to ask how much you have, but does it put a stress on you at all? How do you already start planning? This is your last year at school, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm a senior.
Okay, so you know that once you graduated, a little wait period, right? And then it's going to
6 months or something
usually
like that.
6 to 9 months, you got to have to go read that contract,
Yeah.
okay? So then it's going to become, payable.
Right.
So did you already have a plan how to?
No, I'm sort of trying to mentally prepare, but as of right now, I don't have a designated plan.
So with your social network, your peer group of friends, I'm sure they have similar situation.
Absolutely.
Have you heard anyone come up with a good plan yet?
Not really a good plan per se. I know, my best friend, she lives on her own, so she has to pay rent. She does all of that stuff, but she doesn't really have a plan. She's just able to pay her, student loans every month. So that's probably the best example that I have to kind of look up to as far as, someone being able to do that. But no one I really know has a plan.
So basically just do as it goes like that. Okay.
Yeah,
well, we're going to talk about set up some plans, some goals to help you deal with that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Well, we hear a lot of challenges and trouble issues. So when we come back, we'll talk about some basic financial strategies to help Ashley and the millennials out.
It's time for a taste of sunrise.
The food, amazing. The show, delicious. Taste of Sunrise on Step 1 TV.
Right here on Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez. Last segment, Ashley gave us a lot of issues and trouble, with the millennials. So now we're going to help her out by putting some strategies to work for her. Okay, Ashley, poor money management is the big thing because when you come up school now, you're gonna starting your future. So we're gonna have to start planning and have some strategy to deal with your situations. So number one thing when I talk to my client a lot is that you need to set up a goal. So you need to have some short-term goals intermediate term goals and the long term goals.
Okay.
Now, have you have any experience with some of these goal settings?
I'd say so. I did save up about a year ago. I saved up a small amount of money when I bought my car. But I don't know, would that be a short-term goal or would that be intermediate? What's the difference between those?
Right. Good questions. When we talk about goals, I want you to think of monies as like buckets of money. Okay? You want to have like maybe 3 buckets of money.
Love 3 buckets
Right?
of money.
Yeah. The first bucket is your emergency fund.
Mhm.
You need to have that.
Right.
So that's something that maybe you build up for the rule of thumb, usually, between 6 to 12 months of your monthly expenses
Okay.
to that. So just in case if you get sick and you can't go to work, then
Right.
you have something for, to live on. And that would be something conservative. That you're not gonna like go gamble with it or invest in anything that's risky, right? That's your bucket number 1. You want to set that up first. That's kind of like a short-term thing.
Okay.
And then you would have the second bucket, which is the intermediate goals. Think about something that you want to have or you want to reach out within the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
So let's say, right now, maybe you want to get married or maybe you want to buy a car in the next 3 years. So that's your intermediate term goals.
Okay.
So you can think about how much do I need to save per month to reach that goals, okay? And then you're going to talk about, after that, then you come up with the strategies. How am I going to grow that money for that particular goals? And then you have the long-term goals. This is something that 10 years or more.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Think long-term now.
Yeah,
So the
very
10
long.
years or more. So whether you're going to go back to school again or even, some people even like start retirement plan, which is not a bad idea. Because if you put just very little bit into the retirement plan now, you're going to be able to afford retire much earlier, okay? Yeah, so that's kind of like a short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals, okay? So that's something to do. And then step 2, once you have your goals, you want to know your budget.
Yes.
All right? So have you ever done budgeting?
A couple months ago, I did sit down and try to write out a monthly budget of my own, but I kind of forgot about that shortly after I did it. So that's definitely something that I should do again. And I know there's apps that we can download on our phones now, so it's very, very simple. But yeah, I don't even know how to go about really budgeting. I always make sure my bills are paid, so I guess I kind of equate that in my head with, that's okay, I'm fine, I'm budgeting just well.
Yeah. Well, that's good start. That's a good start. Okay, but what you want to do is really have a systematic way of dealing with it. Even if you don't use the app. I mean, that's technology is wonderful out there. Right now, you can find an app. However, sometimes we depend on this thing too much.
Right.
Sometimes you want to do something manually as well. First, you start off with looking at your income. Okay, where is my income coming in? How much per month? Write it down, use an Excel spreadsheet or whatever income item. Next thing, you go look at your expenses. Now, with expenses, do not skip anything. A lot of people I know my fixed expenses, such as maybe rent, right? Car payment, maybe that's fixed. Insurance, you know that. But then a lot of time people skip the discretionary spending, right? How much you eat, how many times you eat out.
Right.
Approximately how much,
How many shopping trips?
right? Shopping trip, you have to give yourself some spare on that. And yeah, not only food, gas, right?
Yes.
That how much you drive, you go to movie, all those little things.
Yeah, they all
The
add up.
expenses, yeah, it all adds up. So my recommendation usually maybe take 1 month of your credit card if you pay everything by credit card bills and kind of total them all down. You get a good idea of the income and expenses. Now you compare the totals. Right? If you have a positive, which means your income are higher, great, congratulations,
yes,
right?
that's awesome.
Then you can start thinking about, okay, now I have the extra, what do I do with the extra money? Do I start paying down my credit card debt or do I just put toward my, invest toward my intermediate term goals or the long term goals?
Right. Now
Yeah.
it's choosing where to put your
Right. So now you can go to the next step. But if you're in the red, you have a negative. Now you're going to have to really sit
Yes,
down
yeah.
and, hey, where can I cut?
Exactly.
And this is the difficult part, right? A lot of time, I'm telling you this because it's not only the millennial. I mean, even my generation, I have a lot of friends. And when we sit down, we talk about budgeting. You end up saying that, well, I don't know what I want or that's what I need. Okay, so for example, one of my friends have subscription to everything, got Netflix, got cable TV, right? Already have the Netflix, that got Hulu also.
my
I said,
gosh.
oh my gosh, yeah. Do you watch all that,
Yeah,
right? Really?
exactly.
Do you need
When you're
all
spending
that?
the whole day at work.
Exactly. But then when she said, oh, it's only $7 a month, but everything adds up.
Exactly.
Right? And your habit also count toward that. I mean, if you have to go to Starbucks,
Oh yeah, right here. That's me.
well, I mean, one times a day, that's,
That's maybe okay,
$5, okay.
when
But
you're
some,
going a few times a
right.
week, that definitely
Some people
adds
keep
up.
running on that, and that's kind of adds up to the
Oh, yeah,
expenses also.
absolutely.
Okay, so budgeting is the next item that you must do.
Right.
After you got your budget down, then we can talk about doing something with the additional money that you have, right? And we talked about that before. One of the things that you must have for you also is to establish the emergency fund.
Yes. That's
Okay,
important.
that's very important. Currently, do you have any emergency fund?
I do actually, yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a bartender, so I'm able to make tips, and I try to keep all of those put away as like a little rainy day emergency fund, yeah. It's not, as large as I would like it to be, but it's a little something in case something ever happens.
That's great. You on a on a good track right now. Well, a lot of people don't think about that. They may think, well, I have a saving somewhere or my paycheck to paycheck. That's good. But the problem here is if you get sick,
Right.
or you can't work, if you get laid off or something like that, then it's really get into, you don't want to keep going back to your credit card and build up even more debt. So having emergency fund is good. And when we talk about the budgeting thing, so now you already know your expenses, right? The one that pretty much fixed that you can't cut anymore, those are the one that's going to be month in and month out. So you want to keep your emergency fund between 6 to 12 months of that amount. Okay, so kind of keep it on float on that. Don't gamble with it. Just gonna be like date money that you know that it's always gonna be there for you. Having the emergency fund it's very critical. Now after that, the next thing, you also want to be very careful with your credit card debt.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
how many credit cards do you
I
carry?
have one. I
Oh,
only have the one.
great. Wow. I
Okay.
think I got the right role model here.
Okay.
Good. Yes, you can have more than one,
Okay.
but you just have to be very careful with those credit card debt.
Right.
Before you get onto any credit card, what you want to do, if you're going to run out of this show and say, I got, I'm okay, I can get another one.
Yeah.
But learn about the credit terms and conditions, okay? You need to read the fine print, how they charge, what are the interest rate that they charge you. Is there any late fee, penalty, payment that come with that card? And a lot of time, this credit card company will come with incentive. Right? Okay, you got cash back for this, for that. Don't just fall for that. Look for the one that really apply to you. I mean, if you drive a lot, maybe okay, you get the one that give you a cash back as like for gasoline, something like that. Or if you go to the movie a lot, or maybe choose the one that you can use the point to cash out the movie ticket. But don't just go for everything. So that's the tip of having credit card. And also very important, spend the limit that you can afford and try to pay the whatever balance off every month so that it won't run into the interest, building up for you. Okay, so I think you are pretty good on that. You probably won't be doing that. Now, we're going to talk more about dealing with your existing debt, which is a student loan, when we come back.
Cotton, an Italian men's shirting.
The Littles. Watch CCN Sunrise on Step 1 TV.
Still here with me and Ashley on Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez. Last segment, we talk about, some step to help, planning your financial goals. We also touch a little bit about your student loan, right? So, do you know how the student loan impact or affect your credit score?
No, I know that it affects my credit score, but I have no idea how or in what way.
Okay, well, let's talk about that for a little bit, okay? Well, as you know, once you graduate, you have about 6 to 9 months. before you have to start paying on the student loan, right? These lender with the student loan, they are required to report to the credit bureau or credit agency, the date that you start payment, the amount of your payment, and the status of your loan, whether good, bad, default or whatever. Now, and these will have some impact on your credit score. I'll explain more in a little bit. Typically, you have, well, right now, you do, if you want to know what your credit is, you can check with the credit agency. There's 3 main credit agency available, which are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, those 3 companies. So your lender for the financial loan will report to them, your level of debt. The law requires them to start reporting when the date of the payment, on that stuff, but it doesn't require that they have to report to all 3. So when you check the credit score or your credit report with this agency, it may not come up with all of them. Okay, but I want you to, once you get to work and you prepare for that, I want you to get credit report from all 3 agencies, so you can kind of compare to see what they have on you, and it will show you the credit history on that as well. Have you ever checked your credit score at all?
Yes, I have, and I do. I have an app as well, and I try to check that pretty regularly just to make sure that it's where it should be.
So, so which credit agency that you check on?
The app or?
Yeah, no, with the app, did they tell you that it come from TransUnion, from Equifax?
TransUnion and Equifax, yes.
Those 2.
Those are the 2.
So you didn't do all 3 yet?
No, I haven't.
All right,
done all 3.
so you got to do another one,
Okay,
one more. So you can kind of compare, what they are. Okay, now when you do that, also if you're going to see, and you want to kind of make sure that you start the payment. Even if you can't afford it to pay the whole thing, you want to start paying a little bit, because that shows your payment history. Okay, because the credit score, whether you're going to have high score or low score, it's different factors that they look into it. They're looking how consistent your payment, your discipline of paying that, and they're looking at the ratio between the debt that you have and the income that you're making. So even if you pay a little bit, it's still going to help bring down the debt, and your income will look better. And with that, it will also give you an opportunity for future credit. Okay, and I know that a lot of students are struggling, with, how do I pay, all this and that. Do not default. Just don't go into default mode. You know that financial aids, they actually have different type of repayment options. So if you are struggling and you really can't do the regular repayment plan, talk to them. Don't be afraid. Talk to the lender and say, hey, can I change it to maybe a different type of repayment options? They sometimes allow you to do what they call the graduated repayment option, which means at the beginning year you can pay a little lower amount, and then you can increase it over time. So when you make more income, you can pay a little bit more. So that's an option for you. And sometimes if you have more than one student loans, okay, you can also consolidate that. And you talk to the lenders, they may allow you to consolidate it and actually reduce the interest rate for you. So don't be afraid.
Okay.
Do you have more than one plan?
Yes, I do, and I wasn't even aware that I could consolidate those into one. So that's really great to know.
Yeah. So you kind of want to talk to the lender. Don't be afraid. Like I said, do not go into default, because that will reflect badly on your credit score. And just be aware that sometimes people say, well, my credit's already bad anyway, I'm just going to file bankruptcy. Be aware that generally student loan debt will not be discharged in bankruptcy. Really? So it's there with you. So you're going to know that.
Forever.
Yep. So that's not an outlet for you, and it's just going to ruin your score. Okay. So you just want to keep going on that. Now, with the student loan, you like I said, you have several options to make a payment with them. After that, though, the next tip that I want you to know about this financial planning is beware of the new borrowing. Okay, because now you're out of school, right? You're working. Now you're probably going to think about, I kind of want to buy a house now. The next thing that I want to do, so you want to borrow more. And that's just, that's understandable, but you want to make sure that you can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the amount that you want to borrow, look at the interest rate, what you qualify, and the budget thing again. Come back to the budget.
Yes.
Make sure to see what can you afford these additional payment, monthly payment, okay, how much, and look at the ramification also. What if I can't afford it for a month or two? Does my emergency fund will cover that? Or what if it's longer than that? If I can't, what do I do? You know, making look at that overall situation before you decided to jump into a new borrowing, okay, because that could be damaging, right?
We don't
So
want that.
yeah, and also, with you being millennial, this is actually your advantages, right? Take a look up, take advantage of the technology.
Yes.
Like you mentioned before, there's so many apps out there, so study it and use it to help improve your financial knowledge. Yeah, the app is great, okay? There's so many of them. I don't want to name them all right now, but if you go to my website too, ehfinancial.com, there's going to be a resource tab on that, so you can go in and you can take a look at different calculators on that. I want you to visit several websites. You have bank, right? You do bank. Your bank or even your credit union probably have some calculator for you as well. Even on my own website, I have different type of calculator. Play with it. They even give you an options. Let's say you want to buy a car. Whether is it better for you to lease or to buy? You have this calculator that you can play with it. What interest rate is it? You going to take the lower interest rate, or do you want to take the high rate but with the rebate, cash back? So that's also comparison. By using the technology and these calculators, it helps you learn. You're gonna actually get to learn more new strategy and embed it to you, improve your finances a little bit by that. So you're starting to learn more. And with that, don't just stop there. Once you feel a little bit more comfortable with the budget and everything else, seek out the help of financial professional as well. You can come in and talk to me like your financial advisor. A lot of time we can give you a little bit more on a tip, and how to deal with the strategy, especially when you're starting to have money saving and you want it to grow for you. That's how you're going to grow. That with different type of investment vehicle that you can use, financial advisor can be a very good resource for you as well. So shop around, look around, talk to the one that you feel comfortable with, okay? And that will give you a very successful financial future. Well, thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much for being with us today. You did a good job. Well, that's it for this episode of Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez. As a financial advisor, I'm here to help you. So if you have any questions or comments, send it to me by email to emmy@ehfinancial.com. Don't forget, if you miss any part of the show, you can watch us again on ehfinancial.com or crowncitynetwork.com. Remember, being smart with your money is easy, and you can do it. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez.